The MF Empire podcast is brought to you by MaxFit Meals. With over 30 meal selections to choose from, ready in 3 minutes or less, MaxFit Meals is the greatest place to find meal prep on the planet. Healthier options of the meals you already love. And right now, MaxFit Meals is offering $120 off your first 8 weeks of MaxFit Meals subscription. You can use code MF Empire at maxfitmeals.com. And, you know, MaxFit Meals is the greatest meal prep company on the planet. So go check them out. MaxFit Meals, where maximizing your food is our ultimate passion. What else brings this podcast to these fine folks?
The podcast is also brought to you by Meek Marketing. If you are looking to scale your business dramatically in 2023 and beyond, do what we did. Use Meek Marketing. They specialize in website design, graphic design, digital marketing, commercial photography, and much, much more. They're an all-encompassing business that will drive you to the next level and will help you become the brand that you always wanted to be. Find them at meekmarketing.com, and you could also contact them on social media at meek_marketing.
Let's get into the podcast. Welcome to the MF Empire podcast, where we help business professionals and leaders like you take your business to the next level. In each episode, we bring you expert insights and practical advice on how to grow your business, increase revenue, become a better leader, and achieve your goals. Whether you're just starting out or you're looking to expand your existing business, this podcast is for you. Join us as we explore the latest trends, strategies, and tools to help you succeed in today's competitive marketplace. Let's get started on your journey to business growth. Now, here are your hosts, Kris Spencer and Brian Meek. All right, Kris, how you doing today, man?
Brian, I'm doing outstanding. How are you doing today, man?
It's been quite a day here, but I'm glad that we're sitting down having this conversation with each other, because this is probably most days the highlight of my day, when we get to have these in-depth conversations before I head home and spend time with my family. So
sure, you value time. I understand. Same here. I know. Same situation for both of us. We love our family. We love our work. But there's so many key things that we've learned over the last 4 or 5 years that, you know, it's been a real push and a drive for us to just share this information. So that's pretty much what brings us here today. Sure. We want to help, and only because it's our way of giving a lifeline to the people in this community and the people all over the world who listen to this podcast, the same lifeline that was giving to me, to you, right, which helped us excel, but also pulled a lot of stress off of our plates and went from people that were dying on the vines of entrepreneurship or our careers to people that are chopping down vines and casting vines into the
deep
universe,
blue sea,
deep blue sea, and pulling in nets full of fruit and fish.
Perfect.
Let's get on with it.
So today's episode is going to be chapter 2 of the book Good to Great by Jim Collins. We in episode 3 we talked about the first chapter, which is good is the enemy of great.
Yeah.
Today we're going to talk about level 5 leadership, which is probably the hardest. The most important chapter, I think, if you're going through this book. They all build on each other, but
and it's what I see a lot of people.
This is where a lot of businesses fail, right?
And people in all walks of life, high level CEOs and big organizations here in the community and broad that I see. This is the number one thing that I very rarely see people excel at.
So we'll go through the 5 levels, and then we're going to talk about kind of how you feel, you know, where you feel you're at, where you felt you're at in different parts of your career, and the transcendent of becoming a level 5 leader. I'll do the same, but and we'll just talk about how you know, when we talk about level 5 leadership, I want everybody to understand that it's okay to be where you're at. It's okay to be at level 1 or level 3 or level 5. It doesn't matter. And you need to understand that you're going to ebb and flow between these levels. The key is, just like chapter 1, is to be great, is to continue to push yourself, to continue to do the things in and day out, those hedgehog concept things.
Actively seek to be level 5.
Right. And you have to be self-aware enough to be like, where am I? To ask yourself, where am I on this chart? And I'll pull up the chart here just so everybody can see what it looks like. But level 1 is being a highly capable individual. that you make productive contributions through talent, knowledge, skills, and good work habits. And that's to be a leader in any capacity, in any business. You have to be capable of doing the job, right? And when we talk about traction, we talk about capabilities and wanting to do the job. But when it comes to being a leader in general, can you do the job? That's what really capable means. Are you equipped with the tools and the necessary things that you need to become a leader? Being a leader is different than being an employee, and there's a lot more responsibility with that, obviously. But being a leader really means, are you able to not just lead individuals, but are you able to solve problems, and can you make decisions without somebody else's input? Level 2 is, are you a contributing team member? And I think this is where a lot of people feel like they've made it, if you will, is when they start contributing to the rest of their team, especially if you're in a team of individuals where maybe, in my case right now, I'm a manager of a department, and I'm a manager of one of 10 or 12 different departments in my company, one of the companies I work for. And I contribute on a daily basis, and everybody contributes in that. But that's kind of where people kind of stop, is where they just feel like they're putting into the team. Level 3 is
it's kind of the good zone, right?
Yeah, that's where that's above them, but that's below the radar, but not above the radar,
you're
right? You're just kind of coasting, right? That's the good manager zone. Level 3 is being a competent manager. That means you can organize people, resources, be effective and efficient. And especially if there's like goals, right? You know how to achieve goals. And then level 4 is being an effective leader. And this is where you can actually start to see that you make changes in the organization. You stimulate others in your group to high performance standards, and you really start to achieve better, good things, right? You're really starting to touch that greatness. But being a level 5 leader, a level 5 executive, this is the top of the pyramid. And if I'll pull up the thing again, but this is where you build enduring greatness through a paradoxical combination of personal humility plus professional will. A level 5 leader is somebody who puts others before themselves. It's not me. It's not I did this. It's not, I'm the one that did this. It's we did this. In fact, level 5 leaders typically don't even say we, they say my team, right? Mm-hmm. You are part of the team, but
there's one thing they absolutely don't say is
me.
Me.
Right. That word does not exist.
It's you, we, team.
Right.
As you said, team is ideal.
When you think about like a level 4 leader versus a level 5 leader, the level 4 leader is going to still be that person who's going to say, they want the glory. It's about ego for them. But a level 5 leader, they set that ego aside, and they start to talk about how the team did everything, how their successors were the ones that, rose them to greatness. And, level 5 leader really is the example for others to be great. They pave the way for others to be great. They remove obstacles so others can be great. They surround themselves with people that are smarter, more efficient, more effective, better than the job than they are at that job. And when you look at a level 5 leader, they might not look like what you would think an executive looks like. They're gonna look. They're not so much into maybe appearance as others are, but because they understand that it's not about how they look, it's not about how they sound, it's about how they lead. So for you, going through these ranks, when I first met you, you were in that, level 3, level 4 kind of back and forth.
-2.
No, you knew your business. You knew what you wanted. You had goals.
I think the capability part, let me state, at the business at that time, the capability part was there because there wasn't many employees, and I had to be somewhat capable, or else the doors would not be open. And there was a lot of work I needed in other aspects of the business, in the back end, the marketing, to be what I would consider myself a capable level 3 leader. And that came quickly and in later, but I appreciate that. I think, I just want to premise something too. It's like, once you have a great knowledge of this stuff, I want to also kin back to why why and how Jim Collins and his team came up with the level 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 leaders. And this is all akin to the case studies. And they found out why great businesses were and why and how they became great, and the leader was a key factor. So I just wanted to really throw that in there,
which is quick. In the book. He said there was not going to be a leadership chapter. No, by no means necessary was there. Like, they didn't believe that leadership was the key factor. And what they found out was it was one of the major contributing factors. Yeah. In fact, one of my favorite quotes from this chapter, and maybe in the entire book, was by Darwin Smith, the former CEO of Kimberly-Clark, who led Kimberly-Clark to do these great things and acquire other paper companies. Kimberly-Clark was a massive paper company. He said, "I never stopped trying to become qualified to do the job." He felt in his own heart that he wasn't qualified to be the CEO of a massive company.
You know, it's a funny thing in America too, as you know, I watch a lot of, business podcasts or listen, and I do study a lot of businesses, and a lot of times people think that because they became CEO that they can actually, like, they've made it and they can stop working.
Kick their feet up.
Yeah, it's the most asinine thing I've ever heard. Like, I in my more, immature early days of being a business, I envisioned a CEO that did everything.
Right.
Hired, fired, and it's actually not the case. But at least I had the perception of the person that was actually working and really working in the business. Now I have a better understanding that they should be working on the business.
Sure.
But I do meet, hear about, learn about people that kick their feet up and they play golf. And I think that's probably like the number one reason why some businesses fail. It's the lack of leadership and clarity in leadership. So I still consider I'm gonna err on the side of caution in 3.5 for myself. And I do feel like I do have some level 5 qualities in terms of, like, really learned over the years that, the business is not pivotal on me being there and me taking credit and me making every sale. We've really worked on team development, and I did learn the we concept, and I've tried to, in terms of, like, when I openly speak about our brand, there you go. MaxFit, it is larger than me, and it's become larger than me, and I try to speak of it in that way, because it absolutely is a team that has gotten us here. Sure. So it's not a lie, it's not a fabrication, it's the team that has built this brand, and I'm on the team.
Right.
And I try to get down when I can and work the store. And I do focus most of my time on higher level things, like working on the business, working on, like, not the shiny stuff, because sometimes, like, the stores in our business, MaxFit Markets, or one of the aspects of the business, the shiny stuff is cleaning the floors, the stores, and I'm not opposed to doing that. But what really made the big difference is being a leader that can actually look underneath the rock, clean the rock, solve the problems, and then prioritize the issues and find the right people.
Right.
So I'm actively, humbly, and I think I've never had a problem with humility, but I'm humbly trying to get to level 5, and I think I'm there in some ways, and I have a lot of work to be done. But I think that's how every level 5 leader would answer for you. So it's a tough question for me to answer.
Every level 5 leader would automatically default to, like, I don't even want to talk about myself.
If you say I'm a 5,
you're not.
You're not a level 5, right?
No, you're not.
And that's because I have a long way to go. I know a lot of human beings do stuff out of insecurities,
right?
And I'm fortunate to have family members, that are actual executives, higher level executives.
Sure.
So I do know a lot of higher level executives. You'll probably find this interesting. Now having this great understanding of, like, company structure and successful, great company structure, let me pose a question to you. Do you tend to judge, like, politicians and people you see in corporations locally and around the world that
yeah, because they're ineffective.
Right.
I see.
You can tell right away, and you can see why they're ineffective.
Right.
Immediately, you can see why, and it stems back to the leadership. Are they Machiavellian? Are they insecure people that are pitting people against each other? Or are they developing a team? and I forget some of the characters in the book, and I'm actually not on that chapter. I've started to re-listen like you have. But, for me, I don't know the person's name or what company they're with, but the fact is like they almost blend in the back and they don't take any credit, and they're not trying to be this like puppeteer. They're trying to build team.
Right.
They're trying to get people to work harder.
Well, if you look at
not absorb all, some people either are hands off, like I was talking before, and other people are actually totalitarian.
Sure.
That's another opposite spectrum, but also could lead to goodness, not greatness.
One of the comparison companies or comparison leaders was the CEO of Chrysler, Lee Iacocca.
Lee Iacocca, right? In the 80s.
And
came up with a minivan,
huge, like this big personality.
Right.
But what happened to Chrysler when he left? It all fell apart.
Well, what happened to Lee Iacocca? I think he started like going out of his...
Yeah, he left his hedgehog.
Left his hedgehog, started buying. I think he bought Ferrari or Lamborghini, and his ego was, it wasn't a we guy.
Right.
And I think he never was a level 5. He was a level 4.
Correct.
And the level 4 will lead with success.
Right.
Led to
They're effective. They can do it. But a level 5 leader will set that company up for this and find a successor to take over and find that next level 5 person. That way, if they leave, they move on to better things, they retire, then the next person in line can do the job the same and just as effective.
And that's been a beautiful thing.
Right.
It's led us on this journey.
Next guy up.
Led us on this journey of 3 years of creating systems and processes, and we talk about that almost every chance we can, the importance of that, but this is where it came from.
And again, what I said earlier, like at the very beginning of the podcast, was that you're going to have these different aspects of every part of being a leader. Like you're going to be level 1 in some things, especially when it comes to discipline or dealing, with issues with employees or whatever it is. You might be level 1, you might be level 2. I'm on the same boat as you. I feel like I'm in that 3 to 4 most of the time, with 5 tendencies and 2 tendencies and 1 tendencies. But the key is, for me and for you as well, is being hyper aware of when you're lacking or slacking off, and pushing yourself to move up that ladder and become that level 5 leader.
It becomes embedded in your brain.
Sure.
And there's actually something calling you out, and it's
right.
Good to great. It's like knowing you shouldn't eat the ice cream if you're going to Hawaii in a month.
Right.
But this is something greater, and it's one of the best things I've done is put that knowledge, or I guess I haven't put the knowledge. Jim Collins and his crew did. So pick up the book. I think this is chapter 2.
Chapter 2. So
let's put a pause on that.
If you wanted to, if there's one thing that you would leave our listeners with before we end here, if there's one thing that you would leave our listeners with, a big takeaway with this chapter when it comes to level 5 leadership, what is that one thing? If they changed one thing in their business or their leadership skills, what is the one thing that you would tell somebody?
It's a tough question to just distill down to one thing. But I would say, if you're where I was full of fear. I didn't trust anybody. Vet people, learn to trust people. There can't be a we unless you trust people, and you start developing a team, and then get down to the we, train the we,
right? Build
the team and triple down on that, and that's also very, very difficult as somebody who's rose from the ranks of having no employees to 20 people.
Well, when you do everything, right, and then you gotta figure out how to pass things off, and delegate things, right?
Team, distill it down to that, and then give the team the credit and let them thrive.
If there's one thing I would say, if you're out there listening and you wanna make that change, is to be self-aware. Like, it's okay to admit to yourself that you are not level 5. Don't lie to yourself. You're actually doing yourself and your team or your business a disservice figure out where you're at and figure out what you need to change in order to get to the next level. If you're at level 2, what do I need to do to get to level 3? Make those steps. And we talked about it in episode 3, the last episode of this podcast. It's not going to happen overnight. You're not just going to make a change and become a level 5 leader overnight. Right. And if you're a level 5 leader already, first of all, like, we want to have you on the podcast. That'd be fucking phenomenal.
Come teach us something.
Yeah. But make sure that you're pushing yourself to stay at that level and you're not sliding. And I think once you get to level 5, it's a lot easier to stay at level 5 than it is to get to level 5.
Sure.
So I think, my big takeaway is just be self-aware, figure out where you're at, and then work on getting to the next level. Sure. So I think that's all we have on this chapter.
Let's cut it. That's it. Let's move forward to the next chapter on the next episode, right? And this has been another episode of the MF Empire podcast. Thank you for tuning in. Stay tuned for the next chapter of Good to Great.
Deuces.
Deuces.